Welcome to Dynamic Homeschool. In this video, I wanted to show you how I build our literature curriculum using layers of learning. So stay tuned. Welcome back to my channel. I had a subscriber ask me if Layers of Learning had a language arts component, and while I did comment, I figured I would just make a video because this also goes into my planning of building a lesson or thinking for the entire year. So they do not have a built-in language arts component, but I think you could make one easily. They do have a writing curriculum that you can purchase. I think it looks very similar to Brave Learner. Now, I haven't bought it, so I don't know, but it looks pretty similar to me. And I think it's fairly priced like all other writing curriculum. Also, within this, they sometimes off to the side, and I don't know about the newer versions, but they did in the older versions have a writer's workshop, or some of the explorations were writing. So it wasn't, if you have somebody who doesn't enjoy writing all the time, this might be perfect and it's kind of sprinkled in there and it's not all the time. If you had a high schooler, I would maybe consider purchasing their curriculum, their actual writing curriculum. But for elementary and below, I think the sprinkled in writing is probably perfect. So that would take care of the language arts writing portion. When it comes to grammar, that's the only one that I had to outsource. They do not have any grammar within this curriculum. They don't have any side tabs, nothing. So we use Fix-It Grammar. It's 15 minutes and it's done or less. So that you would probably have to outsource or find some worksheets online yourself. Next, the books, which is always a big part of the language arts curriculum. What I did is I picked 4 to 6 books that I wanted them to read part of their language arts curriculum. It had nothing to do with Layers of Learning at all. It had everything to do with what are some classical books that I want them to read. I went on to Goodreads. I used our home year by year learning book. I just went onto the internet. What are some books that my child in 7th grade would be reading if they were going to public school? Or what are some of the banned books that I feel like she could read? Nothing fancy, just put them on a sticky and save that. So that take care of that language arts portion. Now, for her vocabulary portion, what I had her do, because she likes creating her own dictionary, is when she was reading the book, if she came across a word that she didn't know, I would have her put it inside of her notebook and look up the definition. I don't feel like I need to buy a formal vocabulary curriculum because I think that her reading a variety of books and using context clues, she will increase her vocabulary that way. So additionally, using Layers of Learning, because that's why you came to this video, if you haven't seen my review on Layers of Learning, then check that out. If you are considering it, but you're kind of on the fence because while you want to plan, you really want an open and go, check out my How I Use It lesson plan video. I forgot what I titled it. Check that out. But within Layers of Learning, they give you a book list. So what I do is on this lined piece of paper, I literally write Unit 1, what is the history unit about? I focus, while I look at all the books, I really focus on the history portion. I want a book that's correlating to the history for her because I want her to get a different perspective. I want it to be fun and engaging. So, and usually history can be very boring and dry if you're just reading from a textbook. While geography and art and science is really fun, there's projects and there's coloring and there's new food, history, that's not included. So you have to find fun books. So I'll write Unit 1, the history of what it is about. And then I'm going to go through this book list. It gives you a short description of what the book is about. I'm going to decide whether I think my daughter will find that interesting. If she does, what I do next is I go on to our library's website. I get to check out our city and our base library. So I'll write down the title. I'll write down where I can find it. If I can find it as an ebook, I'm going to write down where, or if I can find it as a hard copy, I'm going to write down which library, and it's a hard copy. Now, what I do next is if for some reason the library doesn't have it, or I have 3 other children who are also going to be using this curriculum, so I just purchased the books. I have 2 colors. I have pink, which means buy, and green means I already own it. So as I'm going through, as you can see, the first one I need to purchase. I highlight it. If my library has it as an ebook, I'm going to check it out, and I'm going to see how many chapters are it, how many pages, and I'm also going to write this down. This helps me when I get ready to plan the unit. If I have this book and I've dedicated and said it's going to take 2 weeks if she reads this amount of pages a day or this amount of chapters a day, then I know when I get ready to plan that unit that I need to schedule her to either start the book a week ahead, if the unit's only going to take a week ahead, or she might go into the next unit. Once I'm done gathering all my book lists, on my course of study, under language arts, I'm going to list her mandatory books that I picked for her. Under her history portion, I wrote down her historical books that I want her to read. As you can see, through that year, she has a huge variety of books that she is reading. And then, like I said, we use Fixate Grammar. Her vocabulary, she's just going to find a word. And if she doesn't know what it is, look up the definition. And then for writing, because Layers of Learning has sprinkled in writing, once in a while, I'm going to pick that. So this is how I use Layers of Learning and create our own literature curriculum without having to buy a new one. So if you have any questions, please ask. But happy homeschooling.